Hello. Welcome to the 7th part of the solo max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part we see that Chun Yu-sung is fighting all of Muram martial artist alone. Yu-sung activates Soul Chasing Sword. Soul Chasing Sword arts. They all go flying. Gun-ak is really surprised and thinks, this bastard. He's gotten exponentially stronger. From when I last saw him on the 4th floor. Beak Seonal starts to fight and says, impressive. An outsider using Soul Chasing Sword. She attack Yu-sung. He blocks her attack. And says, your swordsmanship is rather concise. Yet precise. She says, did you say your name was Chun Yu-sung? Do you wish to make your Soul Chasing Sword stronger? Yu-sung falls back and says, what are you talking about? She says, I'm asking if you want to come to Muram with me. I feel an obsession with power in your sword. I can bring you to the creator of the Soul Chasing Sword. What do you think? Don't you want to become stronger? He thinks, become stronger. He smiles and says, that'll be a no. If I come with you, it'll interfere with someone's plans to save a saintess. Seonal thinks, I like him. After that we see that Jinhyuk is destroying undead army. Death Knight appears in front of him. Death Knight activates Dark Angled Eye. Jinhyuk feels strong pressure and barely able to stand. And the under his feet starts to break. He thinks, that's Valardum's beloved magical relic, Dark Angled Eye. It's a rather annoying item. Some helicopter appears above. And someone jumps from them. It's Yanhwa. She uses Falling Angle of Wind attack on Death Knight. System says, canceling gravity field. Jinhyuk is able to move now and says, nice one, Yanhwa. Yanhwa gets ready to fight. Death Knight says, you little rat. Yanhwa and Death Knight starts to fight. Death Knight activates Dark Angled Eye again. A really big fire tiger appears and attack Yanhwa. She is really surprised and says, wait. That's a bit too much. Taemin gets there and activates Machine Monarch. He says, you've never seen a shield like this one, huh? She gets really happy. Yanhwa says, Oppa, hurry to Teresa Uni. We'll keep this bastard here. Jinhyuk is running toward Teresa. There are a lot of undeads in front him. He thinks, all these undead are focused on stopping me. Valardum, that son of a. Jinhyuk shouts and says, I'll do as you wish, so. Show yourselves. Twins gets there and kills a bunch of undeads. They says, you better keep your promise. Promise to live with us if we help you. They both starts to kill a lot of undeads. Jinhyuk keeps on running. After that we see Valardum says, I know humans like you very well. You're a pervert who cannot stand it when other people are in more pain than you are. They bring Maria there. And Valardum says, especially if it's someone important to you. Valardum uses Black Lightning. Maria starts to scream with pain. Teresa is really angry and stop it. Valardum says, this pain she's suffering is all because you're not strong enough. I'm sure you already know that though. That this is all your fault. You knew that none of this would have happened if you were strong. All you can do is watch and cry. As you friends are being killed in front of you. There is no one you can protect. Her tears become black. System says, manifesting symptoms of corruption. Valardum throws Maria away, and says, the gates to the mind. They're open. Jinhyuk reaches there and thinks, shit. I'm too late. Teresa gets surrounded by really strong dark aura. The system says, the saintess is being corrupted. Every feels really strong dark aura. Yanhwa says, what? Taemin says, what is happening? Teresa's hair turns dark gray. And some black markings appears on her face. And her eyes turn blue. She says, it feels good to be outside. Valardum says, that's it. You've been reborn as something much cooler than I imagined. Here, this is you first order. Eliminate that man over there. She bring out a really cool looking dark blade. And jumps really fast toward Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk brings out Twin Dragon's sword. And blocks her attack. A really strong shock wave happens. Jinhyuk smiles and says, hasn't your personality changes a bit too much? I liked your old self better. Teresa gives a smile and says, then you should have been better. They both starts to fight really hard. Twins are watching them. They see Teresa and says, that person is super cool. Teresa says, I feel so refreshed. Do you know how held back I felt because of that goody two shoes? You always hang around with other women. And whenever I try to get closer to you, that damned vampire kid is with you. Plus, Goody Two Shoes doesn't know who that vampire is. Are you kidding me right now? She makes her sword really big. She laughs and says, you think I'm the only one who felt held back? She swings the big sword and hits Jinhyuk really hard. Jinhyuk goes flying and hits the wall behind him. Jinhyuk sees her and thinks, she's getting stronger. As she absorbs the demonic energy Veilerdom is giving off, Jinhyuk activates Grave of Swords. He thinks, if I don't get rid of her quickly, I'll eventually not be able to win against her. Jinhyuk activates Demonic Soul Sword Dance. She barely holding on. He activates Berserk Demon Eradication. She gets excited and says, you're quite fast. But Jinhyuk stops right before killing her. Why can't you finish the job? Are you hesitating because you're afraid that Goody Two Shoes blessing of the star won't activate and she'll end up dead too? She grabs Jinhyuk's shirt and says, I don't like weaklings. Taemin gets there and says, Casey stops her and says, stay still. She says, something is happening to that Unnie. Teresa says, your face isn't my type either. I don't get what Goody Two Shoes sees in you. But this demonic energy you're giving off. She grabs his demonic energy and eats it. And says, it's very charming. Jinhyuk smiles. Veilerdom says, stop wasting time and kill him. She says, no. Veilerdom is really surprised. She says, Skeleton, your demonic energy isn't bad, but this dude's demonic energy is much better in quality. I'm switching sides. Plus, Goody Two Shoes like you. Jinhyuk says, then I guess I have Teresa to thank. Veilerdom is really surprised and thinks, no way. She chose that human's demonic energy. But I worked so hard for her. I even broke my promise with the Murim bastards. And tortured some lame human for her. And she's switching sides just because of his demonic energy. I cannot forgive her for this. Veilerdom takes his item back from Death Knight. And says, I'll make you pay for what you've taken from me. System says, activating the Black Engraved Die's awakening. Teresa smiles and says, take the Death Knights. After that we see all the undead stops to fight and starts to run. Department head thinks of Jinhyuk says, block them as well as you can. Department head shouts and says, we need to stop them. Stop as many of them as you can. Jinhyuk says, so it's begun. There is really big skeleton monster appears. Jinhyuk says, the fight with the 14th floor boss. All the undead monsters starts to flying toward the boss monster. Yanhwa and Taemin are really surprised and says, what the hell is that? What the hell kind of stupid monster is that? Jinhyuk says, guys, please stop the undead that are headed towards Veilerdom. The association's players are probably fighting them right now, but they won't be enough to stop all of the undead coming from all of Europe. If all of the undead get to Veilerdom, that creature will get much larger and cause a lot more damage. Yanhwa and Taemin starts to run and says, alright. Leave it to us. Jinhyuk is standing in front of boss monster and says, I'll make this as fancy as possible. So that you only look at me. He brings out Earth Spirit and Goguma. Earth Spirit starts to make something. Boss monster is destroying everything around him. Death Knight sees that and says, oh, it seems like Sir Veilerdom is very angry. Teresa gets there and says, hey, Mr. Skeleton. You're the one who broke Goody Two Shoes, huh? It'll be very different this time, though. I'm much more aggressive than the Saintess. Death Knight says, I'm down for a fight anytime, Fallen Saintess. I was curious about your skills anyway. Saintess gets ready to fight and says, you're nothing but a corpse. They starts to fight. She is really excited and act like a maniac. She says, but the way you talk is pissing me off. Death Knight says, you movements are much more agile. But you talk more now instead. She says, stop judging. Death Knight says, why have you abandoned you master? You could have gotten stronger. She kicked Death Knight in the face. She thinks, it's true that Kong Jinhyuk's demonic energy is charming. Bai Veilerdom has a near infinite amount of demonic energy. And Kong Jinhyuk's demonic energy wasn't enough to make up for that. Teresa says, so, what? Goody Two Shoes. Are you gonna stay like that? As soon as I grabbed him. We see that Teresa smiles and says, it's Jinhyuk. She says, Teresa stopped crying. So what other choice do I have? That spirit, those eyes. And the patterns on her face too. Twins are really excited and says, she's so cool. Jinhyuk says, twins. There's no time to watch. Take care of what I asked you to do earlier and get to Yanhwa. They says, ah, right. Okay, Oppa. She says, you better keep up that demonic energy of yours. As long as I'm not bored of you. Goody Two Shoes will have one less thing to be sad about. Jinhyuk thinks, does that mean she might switch sides again if she come across someone who possesses strong demonic energy than me? I guess that's one more reason to train my demonic energy. Boss Monster tries to punch Jinhyuk. A really big explosion happens. Jinhyuk uses daylight, and hits Boss Monster with a really strong laser beam. Boss Monster stars to heal and says, it's no use. There are still many more undead soldiers. Veilrodam says, quite the excellent magic skills. I get that you're talented with magic. But you're still not good enough to win against me. What have you sacrificed in order to become stronger? In order to become the most powerful mage. I sacrificed all my family, my friends. And even the kingdom I served. In the end, my body and soul too. Veilrodam uses multi-magic circle. A lot of really strong magic circles appears. I've given up everything. Twins take Maria and they see the circles and says, that many circles at once. Jinhyuk smiles and says, is that so? Jinhyuk activates fusion. Fusing element of fire with glacier formation. You cannot fuse any more of this. Jinhyuk activates 10-star multi-layer barrier. Fusing daylight additionally. Jinhyuk says, I'll show you more, then. System says, fusion successful. Veilrodam is really surprised to see him. Teresa sees that and says, whoa. There are so many beautiful magic circles are in the sky. And Jinhyuk creates a lot more magic circle than Veilrodam. Teresa sighs, it's pretty. Jinhyuk activates infinite magic. System says, you may freely use magic skills without consuming any mana. The skill's state is unstable. There will be restrictions to its usage. Its duration is only 1 minute. The 7th part of the Solo Max Level Newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.